this life possible, making all the things, some serious cast-on-itis this week, and general nonsense. I'm Gemma and I'm coming to you today from my home in Kent, where I live with my husband and our two gorgeous but very nosy and today very noisy cats, Archie and Kit 9. There's been a little bit of rain, they are not happy, they are making their displeasure known. So apologies in advance if you hear any cross grumpy meowing. I want to start by saying thank you, welcome to anyone who is trying the podcast for the first time. Thank you so much for dropping in and giving the podcast a shot. I really hope that you enjoy yourselves here today and that you choose to spend a little bit more of your time over the coming weeks with me. And to people who have come back, who watched the very first episode last week and have come back, I am so thrilled to have you here again. It means such a lot. I'd also like to thank those of you who not only watched the podcast last time, but hit the like button and chose to subscribe. That is such a compliment to me as someone making a podcast that you would choose to sign up to see more. So welcome back to the madness. And it's going to be a much shorter episode this week. So hope you've got your tea with you and some knitting because we're going to get started. I actually want to start today with the horrendous realisation that I have not got my tea. I can smell it, but I can't see it. And I can't reach it. Right, this has to be rectified. If you haven't got a drink yet, or you're knitting, then you have a shuffle and get yourself sorted while I dash off and get my coffee. I'll be back in a mo. I'm back, coffee in hand. Who puts their coffee on the opposite side of the room to where they're sitting when they can't move for half an hour? Ridiculous. If you're a new viewer, this is the level of professionalism you can expect from me. Last week I started by leaving my knitting upstairs, and it's a knitting podcast. So settle in for some more silliness and nonsense this week. I feel like it's the podcasty thing to do to talk about my teacup, or this is a mug. No messing around here, this is a mug, okay? I'm drinking from a mug. It is currently my favourite mug. It has the Project Bag logo on it. To start off, for those of you who don't know, I am the maker, designer and tutor behind the Project Bag. I'm making project bags and notions and things for crafters to help them with their crafty journey, teaching crafting courses around Kent and providing one-to-one tuition as well. I am also starting to release my own patterns, but this isn't about the project bag, it isn't a plug for the business. Just full disclosure, this is who I am, okay? And in my mug, my not cup, my mug, is a decaf frothy coffee of the sort that you get from the cartons that you just shake in and stir and it froths up and does brilliantly, except for apparently I've only decided to put half a cup of water worth into it because it's actually sitting about here looking quite miserable and sorry for itself when I've only just made it. Okay, so I'm going to start actually by, I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you so much to all of you who watched last week's podcast with that special story about my daughter Lara and Verity of Truly Hooked and what she did for us. For taking the time to watch that. It wasn't the easiest thing to share. I mean, it was because I'm so proud of her, of my daughter, of Lara, but for obvious reasons, talking about her passing was quite difficult and I did feel really drained by it afterwards, but the outpouring of support and love that has come as a result of that is just amazing. Thank you so much. As I said before, it's not just about trying to raise money for Bliss and to make a difference to these 95,000 babies born premature or sick each year. It's about awareness as well, and if we can help make people aware of the issues, but also make people aware of the support that's available. If you find yourself in a similar situation with a sick or prem baby, then, well, that's something achieved. And thank you so much for the love and the support that you've already shown to myself and my husband, having watched that. And I'm glad that she made you smile as well with some of her antics. Okay. So I'm going to talk to you about where you can find me on the internet. I am the Project Bag in most places. Ravelry, I am the Project Bag UK on Ravelry, and exciting news, we have now got a Ravelry group. It is up and running. It is the Project Bag podcast. Looking down just to check that I'm saying that right after my kerfuffle last time with people's names. So there we are. You can find me on there if you would like to. I am very active on Instagram. You can see behind the scenes bits and bobs. Obviously the Project Bag Facebook page is the home for the kind of the shop front, if you like, and you get all the latest news there. There is also a club linked to the Project Bag Facebook page called it's called the Project Bag Club. And there is where we've got lots of crafty happenings and goings on, and it's your really social space to share all your work. I know not everybody is on Ravelry or even knows what it is. And also Ravelry is predominantly for knitting and crochet, I think, and spinning and things like that. But the Project Bag Club is for all crafts. We've got some stunning woodwork being shown off in there. Lots of interesting things happening. So get yourself over to there, join in the club, join in the fun. We actually have a craft along going on in there at the moment called the Feels Like Summer Cal. It is a craft along, not a knit along or a crochet along, despite the fact I've called it Cal. It's C for craft, because I don't want to be exclusive. As I said, the Project Bag Club, all crafts are welcome, and I love to see what you're all up to. So if you pop in there, you've got until the end of August to put in your makes. Whips count. You must have finished them between the 1st of June and the 31st of August. Pretty sure. And the link, it's really broad really. You just have to tell me why you think your project reminds you of summer, feels like summer. Okay, so that's all the internet news. I think we need to dive in now with finished objects, because for the second week running I have finished objects. I warned you last week that I wouldn't have any, didn't I? So I don't know if I'm making a rod for my own back here, if you're going to start expecting finished objects every week. Anyway, let's get on with first finished object, my ta-da moment. Ta-da! Is it? Of course you can. This is my baby blanket. It is a really simple baby blanket. I say it's my because I made it. It's not my pattern. All right, that came on the ball band around the cake of yarn that I bought. It is Sirdar Snuggly Pattercake, and it's a gradient yarn, as you can see, moving through the rainbow. And one ball is all you need to make this. What you need to do is you need to weigh your ball of yarn first and then half it, so you do not play yarn chicken as you get to the end. It's really simple. It's garter stitch, and what that means, if I hold it up to the camera, most of you will know this, but you can see it's ridged on both sides. And what that means is you just knit every row. Okay, so knit, 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 knit. Makes it perfect cinema knitting. Or watching a film with the in-laws and they want the lights off knitting, which was great because it meant that we could all enjoy Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Great movie, by the way, without me having to have the light on and interrupt everybody. And actually, the bit I did with the light off is the neatest. So I don't know what that says. If you've got any ideas, let me know. Yeah, I love it. It's really soft. It's an acrylic yarn. We discussed this last week. I am a big fan of acrylics. There is a time and a place for them, and you kind of get the whole rainbow effect there, don't you? Baby knits is definitely one of them. They are machine washable, and what you don't want is to have all sorts of baby goo on your knitwear and then have to hand wash it laboriously when you've got a little one at home and you're trying to rush around doing all the sorts of things that new parents need to do. Sling this in the machine, it will be absolutely fine, and it won't felt, which means the stitches will stay as they are. I'm actually going to talk about caring for your knitwear in a future episode, so I won't dwell too much on it now. So that's fine. It didn't take me all that long. I cast it on the 5th of June. Yeah, I think the 5th of June, and finished it on about the 3rd of August. So although that says it took a month, I have been doing other things in between. So it's quite nice just to pick up for television knitting, what some people call mindless knitting, just knitting back and forth. So yeah, pretty pleased with that. That is, I'm looking at my bullet journal down here, counting towards stash dash. It is 498 meters, so that is half a kilometre towards my stash dash total. I am not going to make 15,000, but I am going to try my best to get as far as I can. So there's that one. Okay, and if that wasn't enough, I have a second finished object for you today. No ends sewn in. Remember this from last time. Life's too short. We've discussed this. The ends will be sewn in at the point I donate it. But here we are. It is my second NICU blanket. It is worked in, again, in acrylic, because it needs to be machine washable to prevent infection, for infection control, not to prevent infection, for infection control. It needs to be machine washable, and this is being acrylic yarn, and it is from the Women's Institute yarn that is available in Hobbycraft, and a certain amount from each ball of yarn goes to the Women's Institute, I think, or their charitable causes or something like that. So there we are. I've used cream, grey, and this, I'm not really sure what you'd call that. It's not duck egg, it's more green than that, but it's, I don't know if you've got any suggestions, because actually, like most commercial yarns, Women's Institute yarns do not give their colourways names, they have numbers. So let's have a suggestion. Suggestions in the comments below. What would you call that? So that is finished apart from the ends being woven in, and that is 337.5 meters for stash dash. So these two blankets bring my stash dash total so far, with about 20 days to go, 2,489 meters. I will be so pleased if I can break 3,000 for my first stash dash. I know I was meant to do 15,000, but let's be serious here. Let's be serious for a moment. Yeah, so this pattern is, I talked about it last week, but for new viewers, it is the Neat Ripple pattern by Attic24. I haven't mentioned this already, so some of you may have spotted it. It's actually crochet, not knit. It looks like a really dense blanket, and it is because, as I said last time, you don't want, when you're giving blankets to little teeny tiny babies, you don't want big holes for their hands and fingers to get stuck in. I am pretty sure that this blanket will pass the test. If not, then the hospitals that I'm donating it to can sell it. I mean, obviously I'm not donating one blanket to two hospitals and they have to fight over it like Solomon, but I'm making a few, and if these aren't appropriate to give to the little ones, I'm trying to show you a side without all the ends. If these aren't appropriate to give to the little ones, then they can sell them and raise money for the units in that way. So there we go, a baby gift and a NICU blanket. Off the needles, off the hook. So what do you do when you have cast off two things? Well, logically, you need to cast on two more, right? It doesn't matter if you've still got 10 whips going. No. We need to cast on some more. So my major whip that has seen work this week is a new cast on. It is a cardigan for my mum's friend in King Cole Calypso, and here it is for you to see. We did talk about this last week. I said last time that this is 100% acrylic yarn. It's actually not, it's 3% polyamide. No idea what that means. But anywho, it's really beautiful. I have now been knitting with it for a few days, and although a couple of people I know have knit with it and really can't get on with it, I must say I'm not finding it that tricky. It seems to be going okay for me. The one thing that I would say is this yarn, as you can see, if you have another look, you see the kink to it. Yes, it's a little bit kinky, and in a non-dodgy way. Wavy? wavy, it's wavy, and that does affect how it knits up. It doesn't knit up as smoothly as a smooth yarn would. I mean, I do like the texture, it's part of its charm, but I don't know, I don't like the fact that my knitting doesn't look as neat as it would normally. I'm not particularly OCD about these things, but I mean, I did pull back that garter stitch blanket a couple of times because there was a stitch that was worked slightly looser than the others and I could notice, and I didn't want that. So it has been a test to try and get me to relax in that sense. I did do a swatch for it. I was very good. We talked last time about gauge and the importance of gauge, didn't we? And you might remember that I told you that a lot of the things I was knitting in the past came up far too big because although I was a neat knitter with a consistent tension, I was a loose knitter. And a swatch, also known as a tension square, is pretty much basically this. It is a 4" by 4" square. It's looking rectangular because it's curling in on itself. And the idea is that you check over 4 by 4 inches how many rows and stitches you get. So this pattern, for example, called for 22 stitches and 28 rows in a 4 by 4" square. To do this, I didn't count laboriously with a tape measure. I have a really nifty tool. This, which you can just about see, if I twistle it like that you can see the glare on it, is from Anne Bud Knits. And my lovely friend ordered this for me and for some other people in our knitting group. I think she ordered it from America. You can't get them over here very easily, or at least you couldn't at the time. I will check on that and put some information in the down bar if I can. And what this is, it's really rather nifty. Look, you see these? It's not gonna, aha, there we are, right, I just have to get rid of my face. This is the number of stitches, and it says, so that one says 4 stitches to 1 inch, that says 4.5 stitches to 1 inch. And what you do is you lay it over your knitting. Now, I won't show you on my actual kinky swatch because, as I'm sure you will be able to tell, the stitches themselves don't lie particularly flat, so it's quite hard to match them up. But if I try and show you on a little bit of knitting, now this might look a bit bizarre, this is a heel, and there's another story to that. This is a heel. If I lay this over, and I've just moved it in doing this, so I'm going to try and do it again on here for you. So you can see the stitches behind here. The idea is that you line them up like so, and that will tell you how many stitches you're getting to 1 inch rather than having to go laboriously across. And with the rows, I mean, that's quite easy. You can look at what 4 inches is and then just count the bobbles down. If you count, some people like to count on the knit side, but I find that really confusing. I prefer to count on the purl side where you can count. I'm looking at the knitting again now. Count these bobbles down and that gives you the number of rows. Okay, so I did that and I discovered that a 4mm needle was not appropriate for me. This is a garment that has about 10 inches of positive ease anyway, and I was adding on another 2 inches at least of ease by using a 4mm needle, so I took it down to a 3.5mm needle. I have a tale of woe already about this cast on, and I'm only that far into it. My tale of woe is that I was a bit of an arrogant knitter. I have knit patterns so often where there's variations in the neckline, say for a jumper, or if you're knitting a cardigan, then obviously it's done in panels, and the back is always the same. And actually quite often in a jumper the front is work that it says, oh, work as given for back until row however many. And so I opened up this pattern, saw the jumper version and cast on the correct number of stitches for the jumper version, then turned around to see what the cardigan said. It's a different number of stitches. It's a different number of stitches for like the first time. So that will teach me, not only is it important to swatch, because I'm really glad I did for that one, otherwise this would have been huge on my mum's friend and she's such a slight thing. It would have looked awful. But I had the wrong number of stitches and it would have been a disaster. So I had to rip back and start again. Luckily I'd only knit a couple of rows. So this is where I'm at so far. I'm stretching it out so you can just appreciate how wide this is. As I said, it's got a lot of positive ease. And what we talk about when we say positive ease, it means how much extra material you've got around your body. So positive ease means you've got extra, negative ease means you've got less and it stretches to you. So a swimsuit, for example, if I was to hold up a swimsuit, it would look teeny tiny, wouldn't it? Or a pair of tights, same thing, and you put it on and it stretches to fit you. That's called negative ease. So it's negative but it eases out. And positive ease is obviously the opposite. So with something like this with 10 inches of positive ease, getting myself in a muddle now, it's designed to be a baggier, more loose fitting, comfortable garment. So here we are. It is 27 rows of twisted 1x1 rib, and I have knit twisted rib, and I'll explain why in a moment, but there we are, there's the rib. Trying to see if it's focusing. Oh yeah, there we are, it is. And I've just started, if I unravel it a little bit, I've just started the stockinette, and you can see, I'm sure, what I mean by the fact the stitches don't look uniform, and that's upsetting me a little. Now, the reason I decided to work twisted rib, and this is where I'm going to overlay some extra video over my voice here, if it works. Are we ready? Is because it keeps the stitches more uniform. A twisted rib, you work into the back of the stitch. Okay, so hopefully what you're seeing now is me working on this particular garment, into the back of the knit stitch rather than into the front. So it almost looks like the needle's going purlwise, but if you watch, you can see that the needle is actually still going behind the work as it would with knitting. Whereas the traditional knit stitch, if I show you on this piece of knitting, there it is, you work into the front of the stitch. So you're kind of pushing your needle in from the left side to the right side instead. And the reason for that is it does give a much neater rib. Have you all got that now? I'm going to bring you back. Here you go. Excellent. So I'm holding up to the camera now my 1x1 sock. Now this is twisted rib. Can you see how much more taut that's pulled? It just looks really neat. Whereas 1x1 rib without, it can look sloppy and a bit wavy and a bit all over the place, whereas those are quite uniform lines, and I really like that, and I wanted that sort of a finish. The other reason I chose to do twisted rib is because I've gone down a needle size. I went down a needle size because that's what I got gauge on, but I didn't want to go down another needle size to do the rib, because typically rib you will do on a smaller needle, and the reason being is if I hold it here, can you see how much stretch that's got? I'm not ruining the fabric at all, it just stretches out because it's rib, and you tend to go down onto a smaller needle because you want that rib to cinch in. That's the idea, it kind of holds it nicely. It's like the cuff on a sleeve, and if I hold it up here you can see actually that it is cinching in by itself. I didn't want to go down another needle size for this. 3.5 was as small as I wanted to work on. I didn't want the faff of changing needle sizes, so by working twisted rib it does have the effect of pulling in the stitches a little bit more anyway, so it doesn't matter that effectively my gauge wouldn't be perfect, and it means that I can just start knitting the main body straight away without having to change needles or worrying about what's going to happen to the look of my knitting or the gauge. So that's my little rebellious moment. There we are. I'm loving how it's knitting up. What follows now, if you thought you're going to get finished objects every week, nuh-uh, and I'll tell you why. What follows now is 100 rows of stockinette. So just knitting and purling, knitting and purling, knitting and purling, knit one side, purl the other. There is every chance that I might try and do all the things other than this, because it is pretty much endless stockinette. But as I said, this is for my mum's friend. I do want her to have it for the autumn. I am doing it as a favour, so I should really be good and get it done fairly quickly. So there is that one. That's it for whips. I have not worked on my sock, and all I did on my jumper was put the needles back on. So last time you saw it, it had these things on the end. Hide my face. I'm going to give up on this. Now these are interchangeable needles. And what that means is you can detach the tips from your needle. This is useful for when you're changing needle sizes. It also means that those big old knitting needle rolls, the really long ones, are pretty much obsolete, because you can, I mean obviously if you still like using them, then still use them. There are some things I still use them for, but you essentially have a little case with your needle tips in, and that's as big as it needs to be. And you have lots of different cables that you can work from. Now this is handy for various different reasons, working on a cable needle. One, if you're knitting a giant blanket, the sheer weight of it on 2 needles is a pain in the neck, so you might choose to work on a cable needle anyway. And a cable needle is essentially what I've got here. So you've got the knitting sits on a cable, and you've got the 2 needle tips, and they're attached, yeah, and that is carrying the weight. So if I'm knitting, I have it sitting in my lap. I don't have to try and heave this garment across. The other way it's handy is because, like in this one, I'm going to lose the stitches now because I've taken the stoppers off. I'm working in the round, so if you can see, there is no seam there. It is one continuous piece. And one of the obvious advantages, yeah, fairly obvious for someone who doesn't like sewing in ends, is that there's no seaming to do, and that limits the number of ends as well. So that's the other reason that it's really handy. But if you want to use those needles again, if you need them for another project, as I needed those 4s for the baby blanket that I did for my husband's colleague at work, you just unscrew them and pop them onto a new cable and you're away, and then you could just pop them back on again without having to worry about losing your stitches or transferring things or having to finish one project before you start another, which is good. So that's it. That's it for whips. I have literally only worked on that jumper and put the needles on this one, so not very much to show at all this time. There is some future knitting, however. Ooh, future knitting. I haven't got any pictures to show you because this is another test knit. I am test knitting, and I'm going to just have a look at my notes here. The Sattler Cardigan by Emily Walton, who is designing it for Expression Fibre Arts. And I will put Expression Fibre Arts down here. They've got such a beautiful aesthetic. What they do, the dyers, is they take pictures for inspiration and they pull out colours and shades and tones from those pictures and recreate them as yarn. They are absolutely beautiful, really, honestly, do go and check it out. So it is a lace weight cardigan that is being tested, ready to release in the autumn. I've got until the 24th of August to work on it, and it is already the 7th of August today, so time is of the essence. It's lace weight, but it's worked at a very loose gauge, so it's light and it's cool and it's breezy and it'll work up quickly. I'm not doing lace weight, I'm testing it on fingering weight or 4-ply, and the yarn I'll be using is this one. You can see the gorgeous colours in there. It looks at first glance just like boring cream yarn, doesn't it? But it's not. It's got all these lovely tones. And this is Juno Fibre Arts. She was a Devon-based yarn dyer. I mean, she still is in existence, but she doesn't dye anymore, is what I'm saying. She stopped dyeing a few years ago, which is a great shame because I've got some of her yarn. It's absolutely gorgeous. In fact, I only discovered her last summer after she'd already stopped dyeing. But this is yarn that I picked up on a Ravelry D-stash. Now what that is, it's where knitters have pictures of the yarn that they have in their stash, and sometimes they might decide that they are just not going to knit it. Perhaps they need a few more pennies because they want to buy something different. Perhaps it was a gift, who knows, and they de-stash it, so they put will trade or sell. So I picked up 2 skeins of this Juno, and it's 80% superwash merino and 10% cashmere, 10% nylon. in the oyster colourway. The cardigan, I can't show you a picture of it, and obviously I can't give too much away because it's a pay-for pattern and I'm testing it. It's sleeveless. It's not designed to meet across the middle. It's super casual, and it also has a little hood as well, and I just think that would be perfect to throw on those late summer evenings, maybe with a pair of jeans and a t-shirt. It's very much their aesthetic. Actually, it's really gorgeous, and I'm really pleased to have been chosen to test knit this for Emily and for Shandy at Expression Fibre Arts. So that's future knitting. On to spinning. There has been a little bit of spinning. I've not finished the bag of fluff. In fact, it looks just as full as it did before, but I promise you I've been working on it. It's I want to show you, because although it's not finished, and apparently my hair is about to be woven into it as well, which is rather grim, I want to show you the progress I've made. So if you look at this end, you can see it's a bit floofy and a bit big and kind of unravelling. But if you look at this end, you can see that actually it's starting to look a bit more like yarn. Yeah, a bit more holding its own. So yeah, I'm definitely making progress with this. I've been practicing a little bit every night, and I'm looking forward to finishing it, because then I get to move on to the pretty fibre. And I have such pretty fibre. It's far too pretty to waste on that uneven mess, but as I get more regular with it and as I get better, I'm going to break out the pretty stuff. So that will be coming to show you soon. That's nearly it for the creative content today. I bet you can't believe it after it took us nearly an hour last time. I want to show you one thing which is future work again. A couple of things. First is I talked about Knit Now, and I picked up the Knit Now magazine. I don't usually buy it, but this is why I bought it. Just look at those. Mole looks a bit creepy, perhaps, doesn't he? But it's the Wind in the Willows toy kit, and I have a lot of small people in my life. I'm very blessed to have honorary nieces and nephews, and some god babies who I absolutely adore, with parents of a literary nature. And I kind of think that, yeah, why not? Just a little bit of quick knitting, quick fixes, mini things to make for them. So that's going to be happening. But I'm also, if you follow me on the Facebook page, you will know that I have decided to take August off from shop updates, because I want to focus on things ready for the autumn for the project bag, but also I wanted to have some time for me this summer to work on my personal crafting. And when I was at Fibre East, here we go again, actually before I even got to Fibre East, I made my first purchase, and it was Molly Makes magazine. And the reason I picked it up was because of what it had on the front. Ta-da! I have wanted to try embroidery. I took it out of the packet so it wouldn't get glare, and it's still getting glare, look. I have wanted to try embroidery for the longest time. My mum used to do the most amazing embroidery work. I have a big tree of life embroidery that she did for me when I was little, and it's obviously this big tree, and it's got the badgers and the foxes and the squirrels and birds and all sorts of things. It's really, really lovely. And I have some friends who do hand embroidery as well, and it's absolutely beautiful, and I want to be part of that group. I want to have fun with that as well. I want to try this new skill. Remember what I was saying last time about FOMO, fear of missing out? This is one of mine. So it came with this little freebie here to make an embroidered necklace. I don't know as I would have it as an embroidered necklace. What I might do is pad it and then use it as a needle cozy for my sewing up needles, perhaps. You know, so you open it up, because it looks like, yeah, it's folded in half and sewn together. So if I did that, and then I could still maybe blanket stitch around the edge. And you can see here it's got the, might not be able to see, it's got the stitches around the edge. So I could actually make that open up and use it as a needle cozy instead, and I get a lot more use out of that, I think. So yeah, the opportunity to try that is really exciting. And it also came with, and if that hadn't sold it for me, this definitely did, flamingos. There are a couple of people in my life who are flamingo bonkers. And actually I can see why. They are such elegant creatures, despite the fact they've got these weird spindly legs with knobbly knees. And I would absolutely love to be able to do this for a... Yeah, I'm saying the C word, folks. But come on, there's like, what, 5 months to go? Less than 5 months to go? We've got to get on this. We've got to get on this. I am not going to be missing my Christmas gifting this year. I'm determined to complete everything I set my mind to make. So I haven't set my mind to make this yet. I said I would love to be able to. So we'll see how that one goes first. Then we'll try this. So that's that. And that's it. That's it really for the creative content of the podcast. Over in half an hour. I promised you it would be over quicker, didn't I? I am going to move along to shop update, and then there'll be some general chit chat at the end. So if you are not interested in that, then I totally understand, and I hope you have enjoyed seeing what I've been up to this week, and we'll pop back for some more. Before you go, I will say that actually I've just filmed the first of my tutorial series as well, so there will be some tutorial videos going up on the YouTube channel. If you've enjoyed your time with me today, I would really appreciate it if you hit the like button and would consider hitting the subscribe button. That just means that you'll be alerted to when there are more videos coming up, and it also means that I get the opportunity to carry on making the videos and carry on being seen, which would be fantastic. Okay, so if you're off, take care, have a very crafty week, and if you are sticking around for the next bit, stay right there. Hello and welcome back to the shop update section. This is just a little bit that I tack on at the end for anyone who's interested, and I show you what's available in the Project Bag shop at the moment. I did say at the beginning I am the maker, designer and shooter behind the Project Bag, and I have an Etsy store which I'll put the link to just down here, and you can find all these bits I'm about to show you now. I am taking August off of shop updates to focus on my personal crafting and also things I want to get ready for the project bag for the autumn, but there are still some lovely bits and pieces in there that you might like to have a nosy at. So I'm going to start by showing you some of the progress keepers that I have in stock at the moment. I'll start with this one. Harry Potter fans will appreciate this. It's a stag. Anyone whose Patronus is a stag, with a little pearlescent bead design here. It is a stitch marker and progress keeper, so it actually opens up, so you can use it as a traditional stitch marker and slip it across your knitting, or you can hook it around your knitting as a progress keeper, and all of mine have that in common. Another one of my favourites that I have a few of at the moment is this little angel. I have these beautiful rose stitch marker progress keepers. And for summer I have got some special sets in as well. So this is a set of 5, and I don't know quite how I'm going to do this. I'm going to have to show you one by one. And these are holiday themed, so you get in your set a little man doing windsurfing, a pair of sunglasses, a Bermuda shirt, and to match your tacky floral Bermuda shirt you need Bermuda shorts. And of course, got to think of the ladies here too. Itty bitty teeny polka dot bikini. Wouldn't be summer without one, would it? So there we are. So that's the summer set. I've got a few of those in stock at the moment, and you get all 5. Finally, I couldn't resist showing you this kitty cat charm. I like the kitty cats. Really pleased with these. And then just for summer, cool you down in this hot weather, we have this set of 3, and I think I've got 3 of these sets in store. Ice lollies, you can see. And I don't know what flavour the green one would be, to be honest, but it just seems to work, I think. Any suggestions? Any suggestions for green ice lollies? I don't suppose it'd be mint as an ice lolly, would it? I mean, yeah. These are some of my favourite. Mint choc chip. Who doesn't like mint choc chip? I have the old favourite, just one of these available in store, the 99 with a flake. And we're going retro now. Some of my favourites, we have Twister lollies. This is my absolute favourite as a child, and to be honest, it's probably my favourite as a grown-up as well. You always felt extra lucky when you got one of these as a kid, didn't you? Feasts. They took some eating. That hard chocolate core in the middle, do you remember? And of course, fruit pastels. A limited number of these, all available in the shop at the moment. So do get yourselves over there and pick them up if you would like. As well as stitch markers and progress keepers, I also have project bags. These are handmade by me and hand finished. And I typically don't do the same design twice in the same size. So let's start first of all with my smallest size. Now you'll have seen this size before. My little label there. You'll have seen this size before because it's actually what my socks are living in. The pink polka dot one. Yeah. And see, they've got a box bottom and they are the perfect size for socks. The zip top. There we are. And matching lining. Okay, so that's my small size. I also have, in the same fabric, medium sized. Now you could fit a shawl project in here. I don't know if I'd fit a sweater in. Shall we try? Shall we try and fit a sweater in and see if it works? Might regret this, mightn't I? My sweater is in there quite happily. In that project bag, so you can fit a sweater in there. And I've got room for another couple of balls of yarn, and actually that's all I need. So there we are, sweater sized. And I have those in a few different prints. I only have one of these. Excuse the thread, that's not actually anything to do with this, it's just picked it up from elsewhere. These dapper chaps, you see a coordinating zip. And cream lining with fun stitching. And I also have a unicorn one. Who doesn't like unicorns? It's possibly my favourite. Pink zip, pink lining, and it's got a mint trim, I think. Yeah, mint lining, sorry. Pink zip, pink trim, mint lining. I've got a couple more of the sock sized ones here. My cat has just curled up and gone to sleep in the bag for the studio lights, so packing up might be a bit tricky in a minute. Stripy one with polka dots on the inside. It was actually meant to be the other way around. It was meant to have polka dots on the outside and the stripes on the inside, but I had a bit of a sewing fail and did it back to front. But actually, do you know what? I really like it. I think that's quite nifty. And the last one I have of the sock sized is the bicycles. These are all available in store at the moment at the time of recording, but once they are gone, they are gone. Trying to cause the hype. And now I'm really excited about these ones. These are my jumbo bags. I'm having to lean back to get them into the shot, do you see? They are ginormous and I love them. If I hold up the medium-sized bag next to it, which I fit my sweater in, if you remember, got these ginormous ones as well. Now, out of curiosity, I decided to see how many skeins of yarn you could fit in this bag comfortably and still do it up. And the answer was 10. I fit 10 in there comfortably and could still do it up. These are a little bit special because they have handles, just to help make carrying them a bit easier. And they have stitch markers that come with them for free, coordinating. So you can actually, these are stitch markers, these are progress keepers. Speak, Gemma, put your tongue in. Right, because you see they're a lobster claw clip. And they're just tucked on there to help with the zip, but you can take it off and use it as a progress keeper as well. And a little bit special, internal zippy pockets, because in a bag like this you are going to lose your notions. You need to have somewhere to keep them. I mean, if you wanted, you could treat that as a notions pouch and that as your project bag, and look at me coordinating. So I've got although I shouldn't have said that because I haven't got many that coordinate. So I've got the jumbo bags in the Scotty dogs, as you've seen, in pugs, grumpy pug. Doesn't he look grumpy? Look. The grumpiest pug you've ever seen, but I love it. With black candle, rather sophisticated grey zip, and of course your internal zippy pocket. Some of them I've gone for zippy pockets that blend, and some of them I've gone for zippy pockets that contrast. I don't really know why, to be honest with you. I think I was just having a bit of fun. Unicorns. Big unicorns. This had to be a big bag, this print, because that would be wasted on a small print, wouldn't it? With a little star progress keeper. The pugs had a dog bone as well, by the way. Handle. Blue lining with an internal zippy pocket. I'm not entirely sure why I chose blue. I think I was thinking like unicorns and sky. I think maybe getting unicorns confused with Pegasus. So there's that one. I also have this rather sophisticated owl print, if you're not one for the crazy colours, with a little bird stitch marker, grey internal with coordinating grey zippy pocket. And finally, I have in stock my last jumbo bag that's in store at the moment, and again, these will not be restocked until September. The cats bag, multicoloured cats, with again a little bird stitch marker. This has actually been the most popular one. People have gone a bit mad for it, and I think it might be just because it's so colourful and so quirky and out there. So you've got these multicoloured cats, and I've picked out the green for the zip, the blue for the handle, and I've lined it in cream because it is a finer material and there is a danger you'd see through it. I've lined it in cream and it's got a matching green zippy pocket. So that's that. So that's everything in the shop at the moment. I mean, there are more stitch markers, different types. I just showed you my favourites there this morning, but that's it for project bags, and there won't be any more going in the shop until September. Just because I'm not doing shop updates does not mean I'm not processing orders. I absolutely am. So my lead time is 3 to 5 working days, and they will be posted out to you. So if you would like to partake, then there we are. Okay, general chit chat. I'm going to grab my coffee again here because by now it's probably gone cold. What's been happening? Honestly, not a lot. The main thing actually over the past week has been uploading the first episode of the podcast. It took us 4 days. The times of the laptop nearly went out the window because I was so frustrated. I think I was just really tired from having recorded it in the first place. And emotionally drained from some of the content, and then learning to edit. I was doing everything all at once, and we got it edited and started to upload it, and the file just wouldn't save. It wouldn't render and export, and then it wouldn't upload. Actually, we had to go and buy an external hard drive because it turns out the memory on my computer is just too low. But we did it. My husband worked really, really hard and got it up, and I've been so touched by how well that's been received. That means a lot. Other than that, it's just been knitting and preparing for this podcast and doing the tutorial. So yeah, not a lot's really happened. There will be more knitting content next week. I am going to visit my in-laws with my husband over the weekend. They live in Devon, so we are going to go down there, and so I'm hoping to convince my husband to drive so that there will be some car knitting, provided that I don't get a little bit travel queasy. There is a cat just down here. What's the matter? You can't have that. You can't get in my project bag. No, you can't. This is Kit 9, everybody. Say hi. Hi. And he is currently busy trying to climb into my project bags. And he's not mad keen on the lights, I don't think, so I'll let him go. Hello. You're being handsome. You look at the camera. Oh, I'm handsome. Look at this face. He's handsome and he knows it, this one. Right, off you go. Get out of my project bag, please. Thank you. Yeah, that one's got a real thing for bags. Yeah, and he's just gone to curl up in the Studio Lights bag again. Right, well, that's it from me for this week. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I hope that you hit the like button and subscribe button, and you choose to come back and spend some more time with me next week. Have a wonderfully crafty week. Make the most of the sunshine. I think it's meant to storm, but we could kind of do with a break in the weather, couldn't we? And yeah, join the clubs, join the Ravelry group, and I'll see you next time. Bye!